49ers are the 2023 NFC West champions, as if there was any doubt, but it is done. They are fully solidified as the champs, locked into the playoffs, obviously beating the Arizona Cardinals. First time playing against Kyler Murray since 2021, when, believe it or not, the starting quarterback for the 49ers was one Trey Lance. It was week 5, 2021.
Who?
And the 49ers absolutely dominated today. And there's so much to talk about. Coach and I are going to bring the post-game show to you, and we're going to do it next. All right, welcome back to Last Second Sports. We are giving you our take down to the last second, and it's a different look. I've got David, who is at the game. Vish is in India, which means we have 2 content creators here that don't have partners for their post game. So it's only natural that we get together and do this damn thing. What's up, Coach?
What up, Jazz? Hey, man, I need a hat. Division champs, babe. Hey, man, this one is good. In the grand scheme of things, 10,000-foot view, we're still on course, right? There's a lot to talk about. But let's just keep the main thing. I'm happy that we won our 12th consecutive win in the division. We're NFC West division champions. We still control our own destiny to get the number 1 seed. We came out relatively healthy. I'm feeling okay until we get into the game. But for the most part, where we are, I feel good.
Yeah. How can you not feel good? I mean, they just put on a dominant victory. Now, there are things to talk about coming out of this game, and we're going to talk about those first. We're going to get straight into the defense. But first, we're going to say what's up to Matt. He says, is Dak MVP? I'll answer, nope. Yeah, we're going to talk about MVP here in a moment. But first, we're going to talk about the defense. Now, going into this game, one of the things that I thought could keep this game interesting was not having the defensive tackles up the middle. I figured Arizona would be able to run the ball very effectively, which they did. And that I said the final score would be 34-23. Now, Arizona pretty much got close to what their number was supposed to be. The 49ers scoring on defense kind of blew up the number that I had for them offensively. But overall, I think that it played out similarly to how I thought it would. That being said, I didn't expect that many rushing yards to be given up, right? Like, I look at James Conner and thought, okay, they can control the clock a little bit, make things interesting. That was a little bit over the top.
Yeah. Jess, you stopped. Yeah, I couldn't hear you talking.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you now.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I think my mic disconnected. But overall, what do you think about these? Excuse me. There we go. All right. I had to make sure it was the right mic. Overall, what do you think about the defense without their starting defensive tackles today?
Well, it shows that the depth is there for supplementary views. I mean, they need to come in and actually give these guys a blow. But there's a clear drop-off between Eric Armstead and Javon Hargraves inside, and Kalia Davis, Javon Kinlaw. I want to be fair, okay? This is like their first time actually having extended reps, but they had a rough go of it. And this is exactly what we wanted to see. Before I talked about this being a really good litmus test for us to have a controlled exhibition to see what we have in our depth. And I feel like this was a great game for us to see that. If we want to get to the tail of the tape, in raw yards, they rushed for over 300 yards on us, okay? In team yards, they rushed in running back yards. I think they rushed for about 264 yards, which is crazy. James Conner, and this is what's wild. It's not the fact that they just had a solid running day on us, but they basically did it in all facets, right? You could see if they understood, hey, I could take a grind out game where we're dealing with a team who can't really pass the ball, and they're they're resorting to 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and they're just bashing our backup guys in the middle. I can take that. But they hit us in different ways on the run game. They pounded us with James Conner. They also had heavy hitter run. They had home runs on us with James Conner and Amaro DeMarcado. Kyler Murray had a solid day with being able to have 8 yards per carry. He ran when he needed to and when he wanted to. He had a long of 15. Michael Carter also had 3 carries for 27 yards, albeit nobody for the Cardinals had anything. The lowest yards per carry for Arizona Cardinals was 3 yards a carry, and that was Rondale Moore, who only had 1 yard for 3 yards. Outside of that, the lowest average yards per carry for all ball carriers for the Arizona Cardinals was 5 yards. Okay. Mm-hmm. And that was 1 carry of 5 yards. If you had multiple carries, then you hop all the way from 5 to 9 yards. Okay. And the only person that had 6 yards was James Conner, who got 14 carries. We have to be able to get guys on the ground in the running game. All right. So look, we can talk about the defensive line, and we could talk about the guys who definitely, they got washed out of run fits. Javon Kinlaw was getting moved off the line of scrimmage. He wasn't anchoring himself. Kalia Davis at times was chasing on the back end. And that was another big thing where sometimes Arizona was running power on us, they were getting penetration and we were stout on the front end, but it was the backside, the cutbacks, being able to close down that back door where Kalia Davis was late to the party if they're going to the left side. Javon Kinlaw is getting doubled down and he can't close the back door for a cut side on the right side. So the running game, you could look at that and say, all right, defensive line didn't have a good day, but we didn't have our true defensive line. That's fair. One thing that you cannot talk about, you can't excuse his missed tackles. Fred Warner did not have a good day.
I agree.
He did not have a good day. Okay. Dre Greenlaw, he missed a couple of tackles and he was out of position a couple of times, just being overly aggressive. But Fred Warner missed multiple tackles. It particularly the tackle by Amari DeMarcado, the run that of 49 yards by DeMarcado that went up the seam. That was Fred. He missed them completely. It's coming to the point where you can't, if Fred is being able to chase somebody down laterally, if he's being able to get somebody in pursuit, you can always count on Fred to bring the boom, deliver an actual blow. But it just comes to the point where Fred has to go north-south, okay? If he has to go downhill and actually make a real business decision in a collision with the ball carrier, he comes up short. And this is something that it's not necessarily to down Fred, to talk bad about him, but it is something that it's consistent. It is a trend. When they were losing games, this was something that was glaring from Fred. Even when we played the Eagles, there was a whole drive where they drove down 3 plays in a row and scored on us. Those were the 3 plays that Dre Greenlaw was out of the game. Fred missed 2 tackles and got scored on. So listen, I'm going to tell you this right now. We have an amazing defense, and this is a championship level team and defense. But today, if you have to look at this, if you take away the 2 picks from Mooney Ward today, our defense is in trouble. We had a bad day. The 2 picks elevated the overall defensive effort, and on top of the fact that Arizona doesn't have a passing game. But if you look at the way that Arizona is built, all right, they're trying to be physical. They've got a quarterback who can get the ball out, but he relies on his legs. They've got a stingy running game, all right, a tough running game, and they've got strong tight ends. They're almost like a bastardized version of Baltimore, if you think about it. Yeah. So really, our our defense, they came through because you can never discount turnovers, picks, right? Picks and then pick sixes, rather, are something that completely turns games on their head. So yes, they performed. However, we're talking about it's chess, it ain't checkers. We're talking about trying to go get the big one. Okay. Today was not a championship effort. All right. And really, in some instances, you got to look at really how our offense performed today, because a lot of instances today they carried our defense.
Yeah, and I think that this is something that a lot of people have noticed with Fred, and Fred is a fantastic player, but his strength is really being able to stay clean. And when he's able to stay clean, he can make those plays. And I think what happens, or what you saw a lot of today, is maybe not having their two starting defensive tackles means that he's not as clean as he normally is. And so now he's got to be the one to make the plays. And I do think it was probably his worst game of the season. It wasn't. I'm not concerned. I think is the biggest thing. I'm not concerned because Armstead and Hargrave are that important to this team.
Mhm.
But it is something worth noting for sure. And Arizona was able to move the ball with pretty much ease for a big chunk of this day. Now, one thing I do want to ask you is the 49ers are getting ready to play Baltimore. We did see a much different game plan when it came to Kyler Murray than what we saw with Jalen Hurts, which I suspected would happen. Do you like what they did as far as rushing Kyler Murray today? Would you employ the game plan they did today with Kyler to keep him in the pocket and try to stop him passing, or would you go more the Eagles route and what they did with Jalen Hurts and kind of wait back with Lamar? What do you think they should do next week?
I think they should do what they did with the Eagles. The thing about Kyler is that Kyler has home run ability, right? So you're kind of dealing with a different animal, all right? And Kyler is more dynamic. So in certain instances, you want to be able to go after Kyler because you know you can chip him, he'll get on the ground, right? Certain physical, there's a lot of instances where if you get Kyler far enough away from the line of scrimmage, he will just plainly give himself up. Okay, so you have to understand the type of athlete that Kyler is, on top of the fact that we were dealing with a full deck today on the defensive line. So you can't really cut off your nose and spite your face to kind of throw the kitchen sink at the kid and then, kill yourself on the back end, right?
Yeah.
So I understand that. I understand the nuance and how they address Kyler today, but I would expect them to be a little bit more judicious in their approach with how they approach the Eagles with Jalen Hurts. I mean, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson. If you look at them, they're not necessarily the same athlete, but they do come out of the same school, right? Big athletes. They can be powerful. They can get outside of the pocket. They're a bit of a bigger target than a Kyler Murray is, right? So you can try to figure out how to stop them in the rush lanes. Another thing about Lamar Jackson is he's more like Jalen Hurts, is that he's a little bit more north-south. Kyler's going to bounce out, try to get out all the way in the flats, get you out in the open, try to find some holes out of plaster coverage. And that's the way Kyler kind of gets you. With Lamar is a bit more purposeful with his athleticism. He's going to get outside of the pocket, but still be threatening the line of scrimmage vertically and moving forward, which also lends you to be able to stay inside of your rush lanes, which is what they did against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we're obviously going to see what they do. It was interesting to me leading up to this game how much more they seem to respect Kyler Murray than they did Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is a guy that nearly won a Super Bowl last year, nearly was the MVP winner, and in the Super Bowl played almost as good as he could have, really. But the 49ers don't respect Jalen Hurts. You can tell by the way that they talk about him, like, oh, we just sit back and turn him into a passer. With Kyler, they knew you can't do that because he will pass the ball. And he's a much more refined thrower and always has been than Jalen Hurts. And I think Lamar is kind of somewhere in the middle. I think he's more of a refined thrower than Hurts, but maybe not quite as much as Kyler. He's not as quick as Kyler, but he's definitely got some of that shiftiness and the long speed that's better than Kyler. So he's kind of a hybrid, and it'll be interesting to see what they do. Really, what I want to see them do is send 5 at him. Don't blitz like crazy. Don't blitz the house, but send 5, stop all the gaps, and force him to make quick decisions. I think that'll be the best game plan. But really, we've seen 2 game plans that are different than that they can basically deploy next week. And really, between all 3 of those things, they can switch it up and keep him guessing. And I think that that's going to be something they're going to have to do, is make sure that he's not able to read what's coming and get him kind of out of his comfort zone. So we'll see next week. But it is nice playing Kyler because it's kind of a slight preview to what you might see next week with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I see the way that they're built. I mean, if you look at how Baltimore is built, they're just an uptick of what Arizona is trying to do, right? you look at Arizona's defense. I mean, their offensive line. They got a stout offensive line with interior guys like Hernandez. They got good tackles in Paris Johnson. They already have a stout back in James Conner. Okay, they're trying their best. I mean, I think Arizona's issue is that they just really couldn't do anything in the air. You didn't really hear anything out of Hollywood Brown today, right? They didn't do anything on the outside.
Well, and he left the game early too with that heel injury. So
if they would have found a way how to do something in the air on top of what they performed on the run game, that would have been a problem. Okay, they would have had us on our heels. So I love the fact that we got them out of there, but we're always going to be able to see teams when they're not necessarily put together, and we may never see Arizona in their true fruition as who they are as a team. But for us, we got the win. But moving forward to bigger and better things, that I really want Eric Armstead and Javon Hargraves to get back as soon as possible on the defensive line, because
I think they'll both be back this week.
Yeah, it completely changes everything, right? So for me, 312 yards on the ground, and then just for a stark comparison, we average 15.8 yards a game on defense, giving up. Okay. We give up a little over 300 yards a game on defense. Before the game was over, Arizona had already had 400 plus yards of total offense against us. And out of those 400 yards, that was 300 yards of true rushing yards. Also, what is a little striking is we're going to get to Brock, but they dominated the time of possession, 34 minutes to 25 minutes. Okay. So they held on to the ball. They didn't necessarily know what to do with it all the time, but they held and sustained long drives. Their first drive was a good, solid drive, okay, getting down the field. And they got down the field in chunks, right? Also, they had way more plays than us. They almost dwarfed us by 20 plays, 72 plays to 54 plays, all right? 436 total yards, all right, and 6.1 yards per play. All right, so Brock was quick striking. He handled a lot of shit on his own today, but I'm going to tell you right now, the 2 picks saved us, and defensively, we got to get that interior pass rush going again, because they shredded us on the run game. They couldn't do anything in the air. That was where it hurt them. And truly, if you want to be specific, they couldn't do anything on the outside, because Trey McBride had a day.
Oh yeah, he was fantastic. He's a good young tight end. They've found themselves one for sure. He's very good.
He was 10 for 102 today.
Yeah, he was good. He was and he left for a chunk of time as well. He was hurt and had to leave for a series or two. So yeah, he's pretty good. Ultimately, they got the win. It is certainly not doom and gloom, but it's just something worth noting. And you talked about the offense. We can get into the offense. I had it more framed around the MVP conversation, but actually, I'll save it. We'll talk about the offense and the MVP conversation kind of all in one here. Max says, how about them Purdy screens, huh? I don't know who you're talking to. Is that something I said? Is that something Coach said? Are you talking about Cam? I don't know. Matt says, Fred had a bad game, and he said that before you said it. So he agrees. He's not just saying what we said and repeating it in a super chat. Leo says, will admit, didn't believe Purdy had a deep ball passer before the season. He has earned my respect. Well, good, man. Glad to hear it. Brother Bob says, T.Y. McGill should play more over Kinlaw and Davis. I do like T.Y. McGill. I really like T.Y. McGill. I liked him when the 49ers played him in the preseason last year. Obviously, he made it onto the team. We saw him do some things last year. I like him. He's a big body. But it's crazy because as big of a body as he is, he might be a better pass rusher than he is a run defender. So I don't know that he's necessarily the run guy that you're looking for if those other two are out. Paul says C-Mac is demanding way too many snaps, it seems. Agree. Talked about this week one, Coach. We talked about this week one, or I talked about this week one as one of my observations. Being there at the game, CMC controls when he comes into the game and when he leaves the game. And there were times that I saw where Kyle would try to get him out and he would wave him off and tell him no. And we've seen it all season long. So, yes, I do agree. And I saw it week 1. What do you think about this?
Well, yeah. And for me, the way I see it is these guys know that this is their chance to get a ring. I don't know what this team will look like next year, but I do feel the energy. And the energy is I'm going to do my level best to do the best I can while I can. And you're not going to call me off the field because I feel like Christian, and this is just me being honest, I feel like Christian feels like he is a late bloomer. I feel like he feels like there's parts of his career that he wants to solidify while he's in the sunset of his prime, right? And I feel also like he's in a position where he's saying to Kyle and everybody, like, if I need to sit down, I will. But at the same time, like, don't spare me. And I feel as though that Kyle and those guys, we see the hardest work that Christian does in games, but I do recognize how they do sit him out of practices. They give him his vet days. They try the best they can to really pace him out. But at this stage of the game, sharks are born swimming, man. And I've kind of given up on that. I've kind of given up on that hope of, oh, we're going to start seeing CMC used more judiciously, and we're going to see.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
It's not happening, you know. But on a brighter side, we did see Jordan Mason today.
And should he not have been playing over Mitchell? And should he not be the guy? And should he not be getting more run? I mean, he just basically proves exactly what we've all been saying forever.
Yeah. So I will say that, like, I mean, we are kind of getting what we want, but just, you know, not in the form of which we thought we would get it. But at the same time, I just feel as though that these guys, they pretty much know what's going to take them to the league. I mean, take them to the championship, and it's not pacing Christian. He wants to play. He's a back.
Yeah, most definitely. Brother Bob says 7 months of giving my money in supers and Nails doesn't answer on X. I don't know what you're talking about. Did you tweet at me? What did I not answer? I'm confused, Brother Bob. I am confused. Tinker says, can I say something? Speaking of the Dallas game, when a QB passes the line of scrimmage, he shouldn't have the opportunity to slide. Let's talk about it. Go 49ers. I didn't see that, but one thing I did see in an earlier game, it was Cleveland versus Chicago, and Justin Fields was scrambling out. It was like a 4th and 1 or something. He scrambled out, and then he showed a slide and then continued to go. It was kind of like the Kenny Pickett college play. I don't like that. I think I don't think quarterbacks should be able to fake a slide. You're either sliding or you're not, because it's so hard as a defender already to not hit you when you're going down or you're sliding, because everything's a bang, bang play. So if now you're faking sliding and then not sliding, I think you deserve to get everything that comes your way. So I don't like the whole fake slide thing personally, but I don't know exactly what you're talking about. When a QB passes the line of scrimmage, he shouldn't have the opportunity to slide. I don't know what happened in the Dallas game, so I'm not really sure what he's referring to.
Oh, Serenity. I'm sorry, Serenity. I was reading another chat. Go ahead. No.
Yeah, it's fine.
No,
it's fine. I answered
agree
the
with
question.
you. No, I know. I 100% agree with you though. Like, what I don't understand is that there's way too many rule changes that like are all for the offense. And like this is just something else that like you can't let slide, man. Like, no pun intended. Like, you can't let that stuff ride. If you're gonna be sliding and you fake a slide, it should be a personal foul. Honestly, it should be 15-yard penalty, right? Because we put so much onus on the defense not making the game as physical, making sure like there's literally not one rule out there that is on the offense on making yourself the right type of target to get hit. Not one. It's all on the defense, right? Where to hit. You can't hit too high. You can't hit shoulder neck area. You can't lunge. You can't have helmet to helmet. You can't hit below the knees. If you got an offensive lineman coming on outside zone, You can't cut as a corner. Like, there's nothing you can really do on defense anymore. And then now the least they could do is like, now it's like, oh, the hip drop tackle. You can't pull him to the ground from the hip. It's like, dude, what else can we do? Right?
Yeah, so, just turn it into two-man touch or two-hand touch at this point. Like, this is getting out of control.
At this stage of the game, man, I think they need to tamp that down, because at some point they're going to be teetering on like taking the competitiveness out of the game.
Absolutely. Flav says Dallas should have played Trey. Dak blows. Coming from like the biggest non-Trey supporter of all time. That's actually a really funny comment. Cryptic says Rundy, clean it up. Absolutely. Clean it up, but also don't panic, because they were without their two starting defensive tackles. Brother Bob doesn't care about today's game. He is more worried about the bet with the Eagles content creator. He says, Nails, did that mofo ever get the gold hat and pay his bet? He didn't. I hit him up last night. He acted like he didn't know what I was talking about, and then he stopped responding to me. So chances are he's not going to pay up on his bet. Maybe I read the situation wrong, but if he doesn't, he'll never be back on here, because you don't make bets and then not come through.
Seattle
Serenity says, you missed my super chat yesterday. Who did you like today? Not Bell. This is to you.
That's to me. Yeah. I'm sorry, Serenity. I didn't realize I missed your super chat yesterday. But I like I called the Niners 38-6. That was my prediction for this game.
There you go. Tinker says 400 yards of field goals. That's true. They couldn't cash in. They could not cash in. The concern is that a better team can, right? Like, that's not a very good team that they played. Cryptic says when Purdy went down, oh man, glad he finished. Oh, dude.
Dog. Yes. And immediately Darnold got in.
Oh. Well, and all the thoughts, right? Here's where my mind immediately went, because it looked like it could be a concussion. And I'm like, right, okay,
that's what it looked like.
Now that's his second concussion this season that we know of. How long is he going to be out? What do they do to protect him? Immediately the Tua situation started going through my mind. I'm like, oh God, here we fricking go. The one thing that can derail our season right now would be something stupid like this. It was definitely a hold your breath moment. But when he went to the tent and they said that the concussion protocol guys did not follow him in there, I felt much better about it.
Hell yeah. Dude, like, when I saw him get hit, I tweeted, now you get a chance to appreciate Brock. Pay attention. Ugh. Dog, when Sam Darnold came in, all right, the first throw was a strike. George dropped it. All right.
But that was the second throw. The first one was to Kittle on it was like a wheel, and he just kind of like threw it out of bounds. Yeah.
Yo, dog, son, and him like sitting back there kind of like, I was like, bro, get him off the field. Get him off the field, man. Like, I have never.
They came out throwing too. It was like, can we just run the ball? Can we not just run it? Like, what are we doing? Yeah, I was not a fan of that.
Yeah. But I mean, even in that, if you look at that drive, Brock comes in and throws a dime. That's the dime that he throws to Christian to score, right? But if you look at that drive, Brock was fucking cooking. He came in, even on that third down out route to BA that he fucking threw in there, dude. Like, Cuz came in and bared down on it, thought he had broke phase and thought that he had a pick. Then he came right back, and that was the play he got on, but went out, created more room for himself outside the pocket, got the ball out, and took a nasty hit. But then 3 plays later, comes back in and still gets the strike going to Christian McCaffrey. I mean, Brock had a solid day today, especially the back shoulder throw. The back shoulder throw.
Oh, that was the best throw of the day. That was the best throw of the day by far, to Debo.
Fire.
That was the best throw of the day by far.
Hell yeah. I like the wheel route that he threw to Christian that Christian caught by himself too. Because I know that Christian.
I didn't like the throw, but I like the play to get the throw off.
Yes,
because that doesn't happen. Like the fact he was able to evade. It looked like last year Purdy, kind of, right, where he spun out left. He doesn't do that as much as he used to, but he spun out left. That was a slick little move. So I love that, the evasion. The throw wasn't incredible by any means, but the play was very good.
It was a good play. It's a
Ricky
very good
Williams. Ricky Williams says Charles Davis saying he was straight up wrong on Brock's draft grade. He is going to get his national respect soon. This QB experience gives me anxiety, to be honest. Why do you have anxiety? You should feel great. You should feel great right now. I don't know why you would have anxiety. Nee says people still want to see the comeback from Brock. You know what I want to see more than the comeback from Brock? I'll finish this super chat, but there is something I want to see that has nothing to do with Brock in the comeback. But people still want to see the comeback from Brock, but there's got to be something to say when the defense is struggling and momentum could easily tip. Brock can keep his foot on their necks when it counts. Absolutely. You know what I want to see? Jake Moody kick a field goal. Can we see him kick field goals?
Yeah.
I love that they score touchdowns. If they can do that all through the playoffs, great. But I feel like we go weeks without any Jake Moody field goals, and I'm still nervous about that guy. I just am. And him not kicking field goals isn't making me less nervous about him because he's making his extra points.
I mean, right now, the way I see it is that we have an offense that can attack. We're aggressive on offense. So it's like, I understand about the Jake Moody needing to get reps today. You know what I'm saying? But he did get one in today. You know what I'm saying? He got one. So for the, you know what I'm saying? He had no business. You know, I feel like being able to need Jake Moody is a good option to have. But quite frankly, our offense showed improved today, man. Honestly, like even on the ground, I was pleased with Christian. I mean, our offensive line didn't have the best game today, but Christian was still class personified. Like I do feel like at this stage of the game, like CMC should be, if he's not like top 2 in MVP voting, it's going to be pretty. It's going to be.
I think he is. I think he is. We'll see. Serenity says, "Coach missed the super chat, not you, Jesse." Yeah, we hashed that out. I knew it wasn't me. I never miss super chats. That's never happened ever. Brother Bob says, check your X messages, brother. Forgot to add coach though. Okay. All right. Now I know what you're talking about. Jason says, bigger steal, Trent Williams for a third or CMC for 4 picks. I mean, Trent for a third is pretty damn good. They're both steals. They're both absolutely highway robbery, but I would probably go Trent for a third. I mean, that's such a good, I mean, come on, man.
I'm going to go CMC for 4 picks because majority of those picks were comp picks. So we didn't lose really that much with CMC as far as draft capital is concerned. And he's our whole, I mean, Trent solidified our offense. I'll give us that, right? But CMC pretty much, like the CMC era of our offense it's a whole different ball game. Would you not agree? It's a whole.
I would, but we've also seen what it looks like without Trent and CMC when CMC's there, and it doesn't look so great either. So I don't know, man. They're all important. They're all important.
Touché.
All of them. Strawberry React says, "Did you see Sam Darnold with the Jimmy G happy feet?" Yeah,
yes.
We saw him tap dancing back there. Flav says, "I kind of feel like Buffalo's going to make a run showdown between the two teams that spanked Dallas by 30 in the Super Bowl." Flav, you're getting ahead of yourself. But I agree with you, and it's actually a topic. It's actually a topic. But the conversation I had with Coach before today's game started, definitely agree with you. Matt says Darnold only worth his Wizmaker holder. What?
Yo,
what? You mean the Wizinator? Are we back on that conversation? Is that what's happening? Serenity says, was hoping that a non-starter on the 49ers might impress us today. Thoughts on up and comers? Definitely expecting the 49ers to win, and I know you did too. Okay, so he's talking about some of the younger players on the team. Did anybody impress?
D Winners.
Yeah.
D Winners looked good today, flying around. Yeah. And there was also, near the end of the game, there was a Darrell Luter sighting. Darrell Luter looked good too. So I'm starting to see some of the young guys get peppered in there. There's always Jair Brown, but that's just by necessity. He has to be out there.
Yeah,
I do like Darrell Luter. If you go near the end of the game, he got some really good reps. He was good in plaster coverage, and it's really good for him to be able to get that type of experience against somebody, like getting on the field against somebody like Kyler. Like that's kind of like invaluable experience, right? Like being able to say, "Oh yeah, I was on the field with Kyler Murray when he was running around." Like you can't replicate that type of athleticism all the time on offense, right? Every team doesn't have that. So,
For sure.
um, for that, I see D Winters. D Winters looked like he had a solid game today. He didn't really make any flash tackles or anything. I'm going back and just checking real quick. No, D Winters didn't have any tackles today. But for me, those are the two guys that I saw. And also, well, yeah, D Winters did have a tackle, but I think it was on special teams. But yeah, those are like the two guys for me. So Darrell Luter
I
Jr.
don't
and D
think that
Winters.
anybody like flashed today or anything like that. It wasn't one of those types of games, but I think for both of us, there's a lot of excitement about some of these young players that were drafted this year. I think we're excited about most of them actually. Like we
Hmm.
kind of want to
Hmm.
see them all. So, and we talked about it with Larry on Thursday. We had a big conversation about that. Brother
Yeah.
Bob says, I said the same thing on Iglet's call in about Moody, that you want to see him kick the actual football. Yeah, I agree, man. Great minds think alike. Brother Bob says, should have let Moody boot a 63-yarder at the end of the half. I kind of thought the same thing. Like, who cares, right? Like, let's see if he can do it. He's supposed to have the leg, right? S. Dot says, still have flashbacks with that 10 jersey Kyle Williams, Ronnie
Dog.
potential fumble. It's a topic. It's a topic. We'll get there.
Everybody
We'll get
felt
there.
like that.
We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there. Okay. Let's talk about the offense in the MVP watch. We're going to talk about the offense first.
Okay.
So we talked about the defense and time of possession. One thing we're starting to notice, and I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing, it's just an observation that I have. This offense has turned into a quick strike offense, which means it is not the same offense that we had traditionally seen where they are a ball control offense. Now, there are times where they control the ball, don't get me wrong, but it seems as of late that this quick strike thing is starting to take over, which is awesome because they're scoring points, but it also means that your defense is going to spend more time on the field because of it. And it's an interesting shift over the last few weeks that we're starting to see with this offense. Again, not saying it's good or bad, just an observation. Are you noticing some of the same things?
Yeah, we're definitely more aggressive than we've ever been, right?
Mhm.
And that's
Which is
because of Brock.
understandable because Brock has earned that, right?
Yeah, Brock has earned that right. I mean, he actually, and that's what I'm saying. I love his posture and how he goes about matriculating through the reads, what he sees on the offense, and what he wants to go after. Notwithstanding, I mean, did you see that Hail Mary throw? Like he really heaved that motherfucker out there, right? That was everything that he could do, but he got it out there. Like Brock can make the throws, right? The out route to Brandon Ayuk, that was an NFL throw. Okay. That was from far hash to outside the number, right?
Oh,
So
that corner thought he was going to undercut it too, man. He
yeah, he
really thought he had
definitely
a
thought that
chance.
he was going to bear down on it, right? So for me, you got to look at what Brock can do, and like things like that, make you feel as though like, all right, man, like when he can start making NFL level throws like that, now we're cooking on a whole nother level because Brock actually sees the field like the back of his hand. So offensively, I feel like we have a run game. We have a run. And hold on, let me say this. It's not the fact that people want to stop Christian McCaffrey, but it's the extended handoffs by Brock as well. All of those short passes that he makes, man, are just an extension of the run game. That's us
Mhm.
stealing yards, okay? And people have need to know that they have to pick their poison when they go against our offense. So, yeah, our offense is a lot more dynamic. It's more aggressive. In case in point today, our offense carried our defense. They did. If our offense, if in my opinion, without the picks, right? Our offense, and this is an offense that we played against. This is their first game playing with each other, right? This is their first time, right? Who knows what they would have done if this is a Grizzly team where they all know who they are inside the offense. They all know where the spots are on the field. They've been through their battles together and they're ready to play us. That could have been a completely different ball game. You see what I'm saying? So for me, yeah, I love where our offense is, and this is the most capable our offense has ever been. This is the most talented our offense has ever been, and in my estimation, this is the most healthy our offense has been in this period of the season throughout all of the years that we've had Kyle.
Yeah, absolutely it is. I mean, we haven't even Kittle's been healthy all year.
Mhm.
That's crazy. Debo missed his
Nuts.
couple, but Trent Williams missed his couple, but really the offense has been very healthy. CMC, that was like one of the big concerns was, can he stay healthy? Why'd you trade so much? He's been extremely healthy since he's been here. Now he's fought through some things for sure, but he's played. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think they just have a lot of continuity on offense right now, and it is allowing them to win in different ways, score in different ways, and decide, hey, depending on this game, we can be this quick strike offense, or we can still do what we've always done, which is control the time of possession. And I think they're choosing to do these things. I think they're choosing to open it up because you do need to win in different ways. In the past, the 49ers would get out ahead of their skis in the playoffs when teams could kind of match their physicality. And it was like, all right, what are you going to do? How are you going to outscore us? That was very hard to do. Now they've got a team and a quarterback that they feel like can match some of these other high flying offenses in the league. And so they're showcasing that a little bit. So I think they
I
can
mean,
do whatever it takes to win, but it is nice to see it.
look at some of the miscues. At this stage of the game, at first we used to look at some of the stuff that Brock was missing. Maybe Brock was pressing too much. Obviously, we had the 3-game losing streak where we had like pick gate. Brock was throwing like 2 picks a game. But now, regularly, right? If you look at how our offense is being moved, just like and not to call people out, but just to be 100%, we're dealing with BA dropping passes that is hitting him squarely in the hands.
Oh, well,
You know what I'm
that was a
saying?
drop today. Let's be clear about that. That was not a drop today.
That wasn't a drop.
It hit the back of the corner's hand. The corner stuck his hand between the two, and it hit the back of his hand. It never
Dog,
hit BA's hands.
let me tell you something, bro. If you are gonna lean back to the sideline and let the ball hit you in your chest, and
It
you
didn't hit him
have,
in the chest.
I
That's
said,
what I'm
yeah,
saying.
to let the ball hit you in your chest, not
Okay.
let the ball hit you in your chest. And you're leaning back to let the ball hit you in your chest, okay? Like, I feel as though that Brandon Ayuk could have simply extended his arms to go get the ball rather than let the ball hit him in his chest. All right, and if you don't want that, all right, let's throw that away, right? Let's say agree to disagree, okay? Let's throw that one away. The the ball up the sideline to Brandon Ayuk, he tripped. It wasn't an overthrow. He tripped to get that ball out to Brock. Like that was another one that just got left out there.
I also don't blame that on him. I don't blame it on Purdy either. Here's how I saw it. And I'll have to go
Okay.
back and watch it, but here's how I
Okay.
saw it. The way Ayuk was looking is he was looking for the ball to be on the inside shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And then Brock put it on the outside shoulder. So they saw it two different ways. He's expecting inside, Brock throws it outside. And so now he's in a position where he's got to kind of turn and maneuver. And yes, he does trip, but not because he's like clumsy or whatever. He was expecting it on the inside shoulder. Brock threw it on the outside shoulder. I'm not saying who's right or wrong. They just didn't see that play the same. I don't know. I don't really put that on BA either.
Okay. Yeah, respect. And the first one, the ball could have been out there a little bit more too. BA, you could have said that BA's posture of leaning back was because maybe he was waiting on the ball because the ball got out there a little late.
Well, and I want to be clear.
Stale.
I'm not putting either on Brock. You know what I mean? I just don't think it was a BA problem. I don't think it was a Brock problem either. It just sometimes defenders make good plays. That first one was a good play. And the second one was to me, I read that as them not being on the same page.
Okay.
I could be wrong though. I'll go back and watch it. You might be right.
Yeah, we're about to watch. We're gonna watch it. We're gonna call each other as soon as we look at it.
Okay, let's talk about the other half of this topic, which is the MVP watch. So what happened today is that two guys are out of the MVP watch. Dak Prescott got absolutely obliterated. Tyreek Hill didn't play. So those guys are now out. It really is CMC and Brock. And if you want to throw a third person in, the horse that's coming from the back and is passing everybody else up that is getting interesting because he's going to have 45 plus touchdowns is all of a sudden Josh Allen. Those are the only guys right now. And to me, it's like Purdy, CMC, and then Allen is down here. Allen's going to have to win out, which I think Buffalo's actually going to win that division. We'll talk about it here in a minute as far as teams that might be able to compete with the 49ers. But that being said, I think at this moment, it is clearly Brock and CMC 1 and 2, however you want to look at that. Purdy had 4 touchdowns today. CMC had 3. They both are just keeping pace with each other. It's really fun to watch, but those are your 2 MVPs right now.
Yeah, right now, Josh Allen's looking good, man. I'm over here looking at the box score from the game that he just had.
He didn't do a lot. He didn't have to do a lot. He had a rushing touchdown. He had a passing touchdown. And
how the hell did they put up 31 on the Cowboys if he only had 94 yards passing?
This is where Buffalo is starting to get scary.
James Cook had 25 carries for 185. What?
They're starting to figure out how to run the freaking ball all of a sudden. It's a terrifying thing that's going on in Buffalo.
Buffalo's learning how to run the ball.
Yes.
No.
Yes. And they figured it out during their losing. And now all of a sudden they're coming out of the other side of it, getting healthy, and they are running the ball on offense better than they ever have in the Josh Allen era. This is not a 1 week thing.
They're finding a way how to take the load off of Josh Allen. That's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem.
Yep. So there you go. That's what happened. So it's Purdy and CMC, man. It's Purdy and CMC right now.
Yeah, it is.
See you later, Dak.
Yeah,
see you later.
Oh man, Dak is ass. Hold on. Let me see. Dak was 21 for 34 for 134, 57.7 quarterback rating, 3 sacks. His long was 16 yards. Get out of here, Dak.
It was a downpour. To be fair, and there wasn't a lot of throwing because it was a downpour. But that being said, Dak was
a downpour
today. It was awful today. Yes,
it was a downpour. All right, yeah. Okay. So was it downpour like? I don't know.
Not the whole time though. It was like the second half it downpoured. There was plenty of time. Dak was not good today. He was awful today. They couldn't protect him. When he was protected, he was not good. Dallas did what Dallas does. Dallas did what Dallas does. And Dallas, by the way, and Dak, completely different team at home versus on the road this year. That has proven out time and time and time again. They got absolutely mopped, but it is Purdy and CMC. So that is your MVP watch. Tyreek Hill is out of it because he didn't play today. Dak did play, so he's also out of it because he's Dak Prescott. So that's what happened.
All right, I'm looking at Dak Prescott's game versus the Bills versus Brock Purdy's game against the Cleveland Browns, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
which is fair.
Which is fair, right? Two inclement weather games, right?
Yeah. So half rain games for both, but yeah.
Right. So of course we lost this game, right? But Brock was 12 for 27 for 125 yards with a touchdown and a pick. His long was 33. He was sacked 3 times with a rating of 55.3, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dak was, hold on. I'm over here shit in the bed. Hold on. All right. Dak was 21 for 34 for 134, 0 touchdowns with 1 pick. His long was 16. He was sacked 3 times, and he was 57.7. Now, this is what's crazy, though. Dak didn't throw a touchdown. His team only scored 10 points, and Brock put our team in a position to win that game in the end. Okay? So even though they had comparable games, Brock still threw a pick in that game, and he put our team in a position to win with the final drive. So,
yeah, Dak was awful today.
Dak is ass. You cheeks.
Hold on. We don't have to go that far. Dak is not. He's not cheeks, but he was cheeks today.
Son, I'm feeling risque today.
I guess I'm not getting into that conversation. I just you know how I am, bro. I don't disrespect players that have done it for a long time. I'm not with that. My bad. Serenity says I'm not a guy. Did we say you were a guy? I apologize if we did. No. I love learning from you guys. Mm-hmm. We appreciate you, Serenity. Devin says we are developing our drop back passing game.
Yes, we are.
Brother Bob says concerned about CMC Both of his knees were dinged today. I think he's okay. The injury that I'm kind of concerned about, and not that I'm concerned, I mean, whatever. The one that I'm monitoring, I will say, not concerned, is Demo. I want to see
Yes.
how he came out of it with the ribs. Brother
He's so
Bob
good,
says
man.
he is so good. Oregon Duck. CMC said CMC had all the carries until 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Mason had a couple early, but yes, for the most part, you're right. Matt says BA caught that 21 would have killed him. Which one are you talking about? Are you talking about
Probably talking about
the one where it was over the one where he stumbled, I guess? I don't know. Maybe. But also maybe that's why Brock was leading him out and he was looking for it in. So it actually could make sense why they were on a different page with that. So that actually, if true, makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's talk about Bell as a punt returner because not a fan. And I understand that that Ray's out and he should be back and he will resume in that role. I want to see Brandon Ayuk as the punt returner. We're doing the thing with Debo where he's the kick returner, and I love that. But you want the ball in the best player's hands. So maybe not now through the regular season, but I think when they get into the playoffs, I want to see Brandon Ayuk, regardless of whether Ray's healthy or not, because he's had his fumble issues as well in that role. I want to see Brandon Ayuk back there. First of all, are you not a fan of Bell in that role? And second of all, do you think just ride with Ray once he's healthy, or would you like to see Brandon Ayuk back there?
I mean, if Ray's healthy, he's the specialist, right? He's the SME. So I want Ray back there, right? He's the guy that's given us the most out of that position. We don't have a barn burner back there. I get it. But for me, I would love Debo to take over both. I would love Debo to take over both duties, to be honest with you. He could be the punt returner and the kick returner. It's just another job. We're paying you a shit ton of money, bro. Like, you can do it. All right. It's not that big of a deal. It's one play. Just go do it. So for me, that's what I would do. Now, I understand that Brandon Ayuk returned punts in college. Okay. So he was known to be a good punt returner, but I just kind of brought up a couple of numbers, and he only had 29. The most that we used him as a punt returner is 2021. He only had 21. He only had 29 returns. In 2020, he only had 2. In 2022, they completely ripped him off of it. Right now, I understand putting Brandon Ayuk as your punt returner, but that's also the equivalent of putting like your number one receiver as your punt returner. It's kind of out of school, right? It's like you don't see like, Diggs returning punts or CeeDee Lamb returning punts or DK Metcalf returning punts. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of putting your Lamborghini out there to cut the grass. Like, you don't really want to do that. But I would like to see some guys that are a little bit more headsy, like maybe some DBs want to step up and probably do it. My thing with Ronnie Bell is that he needs to learn how to get on the ground. A lot of Ronnie Bell's effort and his issues, right, he is slipping all the damn time. Even on the holding, the clipping on the Mitch Wisnowski play. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's like turning around. He's like a baby giraffe. Like, he's all around the place, like falling over himself. And
It's
I
like
understand.
Bambi on ice.
Yeah, and it's just like, my man, like, just get on the ground. Like, he understood that he knew he was down because he got hit, but the way he's carrying the ball, it's like, this is not Michigan. All right, you're not playing on 3-inch long grass, like where everybody's kind of moving at a certain pace. My man, get on the ground. Outside of that, I just want to see Ray kind of take over those duties. Like, it's his job. It wasn't an issue when he was there. As a matter of fact, I feel like that's why we got Ray, so we can kind of like get rid of that issue, right? Who was the last guy we had? Marquise, number 11.
It wasn't Goodwin, was
Goodwin?
it? Sorry, anybody? You're talking about Goodwin. Well, we had Trent Taylor back there. We had who was
Number 13.
James was back there.
James, yeah.
Those are the guys that I remember.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So for me, I understand. I see where you're coming from. I want guys who are experienced to get back there. That's not a chance for us to kind of just give reps to a guy that doesn't necessarily get the reps that he needs on offense. Like special teams is a real part of the game. It's not like an overflow room to our talent where it's like, all right, well, let's just put some guys over there. All right, punt the ball, kick the ball. We'll get it together. We'll get offense on the field. Like, no, we actually need to find guys that actually are good at that shit. So for me, I don't want to see us putting like Ronnie Bell back there because, again, like we played against a team that let's be real, at no point in this game was I worried. Not one, like, really, you know what I'm saying?
No.
But there are lapses in teams that we play where we see those lapses and it's like, dude, if we play against a team that kind of like has their shit together, that plays 60 minutes, right? Like those are the teams that are going to give a fuck about field position. Like, and then sometimes we just luck out. Like, Rich Misnowski kicked the punt that was like 60 yards in the air and it like landed perfectly on the 10. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that happened today. You know what I'm saying? So like we get kind of like the weirdest luck on special teams as well. But I will say that there are teams out there that sooner or later, they're going to make us pay. Like, I'm going to tell you this right now. Case in point, we're about to play Baltimore. Their head coach by trade is a special teams guru. Okay. You don't think that they're going to find their ways how to tilt the scales in field position, making sure they get as much yards. Like we played against who was that? The Rams. When the Rams, I mean, it was either the Rams or the Bucks where their takeoff, they were damn near getting like 35, 40 yards a pop on kickoff returns, right? And that's just elements of the game that you forget when you're blowing a team out. But those are things that kill you when you play a team that has the offense and the defense to rock with you. You know what I'm saying? Like Arizona, for what it's worth, Arizona's not a better team than us, right? They deserve to be, what are they, like 3-11 now? You know what I'm saying? They're 3-11 for a reason. But at the same time, you cannot ignore the fact that there are patches in that game where they could have taken advantage of our blunders. They just didn't have the guys to do it. You know what I'm saying? So that's more of my point.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I'm not a fan of Debo being back there all the time or Ayuk being back there all the time. I just want to see guys back there that can change a game come playoff time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, playoff time, you're going to see, assuming they get the number 1 seed, you're going to see what, maybe 12 punt returns over the course of the playoffs. Like, get your best guys back there. Whoever you think that is, whoever you think it is, get them back there. I said Ayuk, you said Debo. I'm fine with either one. I don't know if Debo's comfortable doing it, and we know that Ayuk did it in college. So either one of them, I would be just fine with. Continue with Debo on kick returns and let's go that route.
Yeah, I mean, I this was a good game, for real. Like, if I'm Kyle, I let the boys celebrate. You know what I'm saying? Go do what you need to do. Go get a slap and tickle. Come back, and we get a lot of good film. This is great film to have if I'm Kyle, right? Mm-hmm. Because because the thing about coaching is you can talk until you're blue in the face, really. And you can tell them, even in the moment, you can say, see what you're doing right here. And even they don't even feel the wrong, right? They're kind of like, what the fuck are you talking about? A lot of players, they can't see themselves in the moment. They don't have, self-awareness is a gift, right? Mm-hmm. They don't have it. But what's the elixir is that film, right? That film is like the impartial observer where it's like, hey, we won, fellas. Great job. Proud of yourselves. 11-3. We're still on track, but I got some shit to show y'all. Roll that beautiful beam footage. Put it on. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need to look at this run game. Javon, what are we doing here? Kalia, what are we doing here? Fred, what are we doing right here? Y'all got to fix this. You know what I'm saying? So, this was all, I mean, really, this is a win-win. We got the win. We showed a lot of concerns in areas on our defense that we needed to fix and we need to fix and shore up. And we have the film to hash it out.
Absolutely. Let's talk about teams to compete or a team to compete. The 49ers are clearly the best team in football at this moment. I don't think anybody's arguing that. And I think over the last couple weeks, we've really kind of struggled to think of a team that can compete with them when it comes to the playoffs. We've talked about the Eagles and Dallas. I think we all agree that the 49ers are the best team out of those three teams. And then we started talking about the AFC. Kansas City is not what Kansas City has been traditionally. Although I will say Patrick Mahomes, if anybody's going to figure it out in the playoffs, it would be Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. So I'm not writing them off by any means, but at this moment, they seem more than beatable. You've got the Ravens, who are without Andrews. We'll see if he can come back for a Super Bowl if they're able to get there. It sounds like he might be back for an AFC championship, is what they're trying to target as a possibility. And the Ravens are good, and we're going to see them next week. They don't scare me or terrify me. There is a new team that has entered this conversation, in my opinion. And I talked about it before the game even started today. So this is not because they beat Dallas. I told you today on the phone, and I told the same thing to Roscoe.
You said the same thing this morning.
I said if this team finds a way to make it into the playoffs and continues to get healthy the way that they have been, they are the only team that they don't strike fear in me, but I would love to avoid them in a Super Bowl situation, and that is the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills defense is playing phenomenal football right now. They are healthy on defense for the first time all year. They have figured out how to run the football and take some things off of Josh. And Josh is one of the few quarterbacks in this league that dictates to your defense what's about to happen today. Now, that doesn't mean he's perfect. He will definitely give you chances, but he can dictate how the game goes. Defenses don't dictate to him how the game is going to go. So for that reason, out of all the teams that are remaining, Buffalo, if they get into the playoffs, and I'm going to give you a bolder prediction, I think they're going to win the division. They're 2 games behind Miami right now, but they play Miami in the final week of the regular season. They're going to beat them. Miami also has to play Dallas and Baltimore before they even get there. They're going to lose one of those 2 games, and then they're going to lose to Buffalo, and Buffalo's going to win the division and have home field in the first round of the playoffs. Buffalo, out of all the teams right now, is the one team that I would prefer to avoid. Not saying they wouldn't beat them, but they're the team that I look at and say, okay, that team could give the 49ers maybe some issues here.
All right, so it's 7-6. This is the thing. This is the only thing. Now. 8-6. This is the only thing that kind of makes me kind of like give Buffalo the side eye. Is that you look at their losses, and their losses are peppered throughout their season, right? I can't necessarily look at those 6 losses and see like where's the dip, right? They lost the first game of their season to the Jets, right? Is that like what are we talking about here? All right. Then they lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They win against the Giants. They lose to the Patriots. They beat the Bucks. Then they have a 2-game skid against the Bengals and the Broncos. They turned it around against the Jets, big whoop, and then they lose in overtime versus the Eagles. They're coming off of a bye week, so they got the chance to lick their wounds, and then they coming out right now and they beat Kansas City and Dallas. All right, notwithstanding, they have Chargers. That's a win. New England, that's a win. They got a showdown against Miami. Depending on how Miami plays Baltimore, if we beat Baltimore, right? So Baltimore is going to be super motivated to get their asses back in track.
Well, and Miami has to play Dallas too.
Right, and then Dallas just lost, so they're super motivated to get back on track too. So it's a really interesting last month of the season if you look about it. Like if you look at it, right? It's a super interesting last month. And if you look at Buffalo, all right, so I just kind of tried to poke holes in it with the fact that you can't see the losing slump, right? Which means that there's something in there, right? You're losing consistently throughout the season, right? You're not like the Niners, right? You're not like us where you can clearly see, hey, shit was crazy for these 3 weeks. You know what I'm saying? And we got to act together. Right. The only thing about the Bills is that, yeah, you can look at them losing, which I try to poke holes in and be devil's advocate, but notwithstanding that offense is tied for top 5 in the league. They still got a top 10 defense at 8th overall. You know what I'm saying? And in certain ways, they're kind of built like us with the 23rd ranked overall special teams unit. They're a strong team. That one thing that does scare me about Buffalo is Josh Allen can't dictate. he can literally take over a game, right? He can tell you guys, all right, well, the play didn't work, but I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I wanted. You know what I'm saying? And it can be truly demoralizing. My only thing is that I'm not really worried about any other team as far as structure is concerned. You know what I mean? Like if we're facing an entire team where you got to face our defense, you got to face our offense, you got to understand that after we score, you're not going to be able to get a reprieve with the slack-jaw defense that's just going to trot on the field. We got a D that's going to actually challenge you. Now, my only thing is that I'm way off on my preseason prediction of where we were in the season, right? I called 9-8. That is not facts, right? But my concerns still linger. Stopping the run and running the ball, right? And those were my chief concerns. And I will say that it does prove to be ominous that the Bills are turning on, and they're turning on with an element of the game that everybody knows that they need. Everybody in the league knows that the number one thing that the Bills are missing is a run game. If the Bills got a run game to actually help Josh Allen out, where you actually had to back off of him and he doesn't have to play 1-on-11 football, he's a real problem. However, I don't think it's the Bills.
Okay.
I don't think that's the team, right?
Okay. Who do you think the team is?
I got Baltimore.
Okay.
I love what Lamar is doing. I feel like Lamar is on the cusp of really showing people what he can be from a quarterback standpoint from the pocket. I feel like a lot of what Lamar is doing is being kind of overlooked for how he's been moving throughout the season. Also, Baltimore's got a game defense, man. People forget they still got Jadeveon Clowney, Owe, Pierce in the middle, Smith and Queen at linebacker. They got a pretty stout secondary too. So they're always game on defense. Another thing about them is that they've been doing this all season. They're respectively ranked 4th overall, tied for 5th with Buffalo, right? So we're not too far off.
I'm just looking at this comment. Baltimore's
What?
D is crappy.
They're tied for 2nd in the league.
What?
Hey,
what are you watching, brother? What are you? I love you, Shades by Shardall, but this is a off-base comment completely.
This is a drug-free live stream. Okay.
Maybe he's had some pops. It's
you had a little bit too much to drink, Shardall. Like, come on, man, you off the Tito's? Yeah, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? They ranked second. They ranked second in the league in defense.
Based off of what? They're overrated based off of what? No, based off of what? Because they gave up points to a Matthew Stafford-led team. By the way, our defense struggled against Matthew Stafford as well without Cooper Kupp for about 2.5, 3 quarters. So I don't think that one should surprise you.
Oh man, right now he's like, take that off. I've been on the other side of the chat, and right now he's like, please take that off the screen. Please take that off the screen. Please take that off the screen. Hey, get Val Ramos. Shardall, I'm with you. Put that up there too. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Focus. Pay attention. Goodness. Back to the show. So, Baltimore's defense is ranked 2nd in the NFL. Okay.
Speaking of drinking.
Uh-huh. Purdy, what better than Allen?
Way better than Allen. Y'all, hey, you guys are having fun.
Y'all having a good time tonight, man.
Y'all. You guys do your thing.
Yeah, I may be fucking with me, but look. All I'm saying is that I feel like the Ravens are they're waiting to kind of erupt. Honestly, there's a slow rumble with them. They're 10-3. All right. They got a stingy defense, man. And to your point, I'm gonna steal your take in front of you. How about that?
Yeah, that's good. All right.
So I'm gonna steal your take on your show in front of you. But Lamar Jackson does very well against the NFC. And the reason why he does very well against the NFC because he does not played that many games against them, right? Now, this could be something that we could watch for, that me and you have talked about a lot, is that the Niners would potentially get a chance to see Lamar 2 times, right? If they were to see him in the big show, at least we'll be able to have tape on what he gave us today. And really, if you think about it, when we see the Ravens, you might see a little bit of that. Like, pay attention to a slow game when we first start seeing each other. And not necessarily because it's two juggernauts fighting, but it's almost kind of like a heavyweight bout. Like, I'm a fight fan, right? And like you go welterweight and down, you always going to be able to see guys popping off, especially standing in the middle of the screen, standing in the screen, throwing hands, right? But really, what's crazy is that when you look at the heavyweight bouts, it's a lot more slower in the early rounds because these dudes know that they're holding nuclear bombs in each hand. You know what I'm saying? And you start seeing guys developing their jab. You may see somebody trying to figure out what their distance is, trying to get their timing together, because they understand that one slip of me just coming in here haphazardly, I can get clocked and I'm done for the day. And I feel like that's where you're gonna see a little bit of that when we play the Ravens. You're gonna see a lot of slow play. Guys are we're gonna be running the ball inside a lot, trying to make sure that we can just get the ball downfield. Also, one thing is that you got to notice is that we're also going to have the ability to move. We're going to have the ability to see what the Ravens are going to be able to do further if we see them again. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like Kyle's not going to want to empty the clip, so to speak, as far as showing his offense, showing what we can do against them. And I feel like the Ravens will as well. This may be a low-scoring, hard-fought game.
I think we're beating the Ravens. At home especially. I will say this: if they play the Ravens in the Super Bowl and Mark Andrews is back, then I can get on board. But if Mark Andrews is not there and they play the Ravens, I feel really, really good about that matchup. But he's that important to that team. He is. He's that important. And I think the Ravens are good too. Yeah, I guess here's what I will say: I don't know who's going to come out of the AFC. And of course, we're assuming that we're going to come out of the NFC. But the AFC, what we thought at the beginning of the season is starting to slowly come to fruition at the end of the season, where it's like, okay, whoever comes out of there is going to be very tested. Tested. And we'll see what happens. It's not going to be, because for a couple of weeks, it really started to look like, man, this is going to be a cakewalk. And now I'm not so sure about that. You know what I mean?
No, I don't feel that way at all. Things are tightening up. We deserve to feel good about ourselves. We've earned our record. We earned this championship, this division championship. But this is a good conversation to have because other things are happening around the league. You know, like other things are bubbling. So, the Eagles, they're they're all over the place. Like,
bro, they might lose to Seattle tomorrow. Hurts might not play.
And they just elevated Matt Patricia as their DC. Did you hear about that?
With Slay there, by the way. That is crazy. Slay literally left Detroit because of Matt Patricia.
That's wild.
That conversation had to have happened before they did that. But also, I do find it funny they're doing it on a week that Slay is out. It's like, oh, what's he going to do? I mean, he's out anyway. So
here. Matt Patricia always looks like somebody. He smells like Subway. He looks like
he smells like Subway.
Yeah, he looks like somebody that's always he looks like he just got finished eating a cold cut. Every time I see him, it's like, you smell like lunch meat. Yeah.
Matt Patricia.
He just looks unkept to be a millionaire. Like, cut your hair. What's the matter with you?
Yeah. He looked like Rex Ryan's brother was always like that though too, man. Always
Rob.
Had super long hair.
Yeah,
Rob
but
Ryan,
Rob had the locks. You know what I'm saying? He kind of had like, he had like the Midwest chic thing going on. Just,
I got it. Brother Bob says, okay, the Ravens have a good defense, but we can exploit them. That's the thing about today's NFL with the rules geared towards the offense. I think that the 49ers can exploit any defense, but vice versa. As good as the 49ers defense is, I think the right quarterbacks can exploit them just the same. So I think that this goes both ways. I think great defenses are not, it's not what it used to be. They definitely can, they can be had. Calvin says Allen is good for at least one pick a game. They won't be the number 1 seed, so they will need to play 3 games. Someone hopefully beats them if they get in. Yeah, for sure. He definitely could be good for 1 pick a game, but he's also good for about 3 touchdowns a game.
Yeah, and a lot of the 1 picks a game are like it's almost like Kobe. Like Kobe was a ball hog. I love Kobe. Kobe was a ball hog, but a lot of his numbers, you can't really look at his numbers and try to like search for efficiency. Like a lot of those teams he was on were bad teams, and he was the offense, right? So I do feel like I don't want to, picks are bad for any quarterback. So I don't want to like get caught on camera like cucking for Josh Allen's picks. Like picks are bad, but he has a lot more responsibility in that offense. And like sometimes you're a little bit more forgiving on turnovers when you look at like the job skill, the skill set that he's asked to perform.
Absolutely. Brother Bob says we have to stay away from Hamilton on the Ravens. Speaking of Hamilton, he missed a big chunk of last week's game, was questionable going into tonight. It looks like he is going to suit up. I figured he might miss tonight and then play against San Francisco, but they feel comfortable with him and he's playing tonight. He's a very, very good player. Remember when people passed on him because of his 40 time? That was stupid. Brother Bob says we had an off day and still beat him by 16 in Arizona. You know what's funny is I was telling my son, I was like, pay attention. The guard is tapping the center as if they're on the road.
Yeah.
Arizona had their guard looking back, checking with the quarterback, and tapping the center as if they were the road team. That was pretty awesome to see. Matt says next, Patricia will be the OC next week.
Dog. So hey, bro, I don't be understanding like the Josh Allen, not Josh Allen, but Josh McDaniels, Matt Patricia, like that whole belt. Yo, for what it's worth, I love Coach Belichick. I really do. But his coaching tree is cheeks. It's like
but they're great for him. They're great for him. When they're calling his defense and his offense, it seemed to work for all those years. You know what I mean?
Basura.
When they leave, oh my gosh, they're terrible.
Dog, I have no idea why. It's like, dude, it's like he's like a billionaire with like horrible kids who run rampant through the company.
Right.
Oh my God, it's Bill Jr. Fuck.
Brother Bob says Slay had his surgery now because Patricia took over. Yeah, it's a scope though. So, and actually, speaking of Philly, they're going to be interesting down the stretch too because Slay will be back. Which whatever. I mean, he was there when we played. But a couple guys that will be there or should be there. It sounds like Avonte Maddox is going to be back. And a lot of their defensive woes kind of started to happen once Avonte Maddox was out. And we see how important nickel corners can be. And we see that when you don't have a good one or one that you can trust, it can be an absolute problem. Avonte Maddox is a very good nickel corner. So him coming back will help them as well. I still think the 49ers are clearly the better team, but they should be slightly healthier and better the next time we play them. Not that it's going to be enough. Philly doesn't worry me at all. This whole back to the basics thing, this remember the Titans thing they're doing at practice is hilarious. It's not going to help them.
Hell yeah, it's not. I mean, and really like, I just give teams the same level of scrutiny that teams will give us, right? If, for what it's worth, you look at Philly and you say, oh, they got a new OC and now they got a new DC and things are hard for them. Things get a little rough, but we fucking been losing DCs like out of the, we losing these OC. Nobody cares about us, right? We got a rookie DC. Nobody's kissing our ass, giving us any contingency. You know what I mean? Nobody's like, oh man, well, maybe if the Niners can get it together. Like, no, if that was us, everybody would be flaming us. Oh, the Niners can't get their shit together. They're firing Steve Wilkes. They're elevating Johnny Holley. What the fuck's going on in Santa Clara? Like, all of that will be happening. So I don't give them any cut. I got no cut costs for Philly. You guys got a new OC. Guess what? We had a new OC when we came to see you guys in the NFC Championship game. That was Mike McDaniel's rookie season as a head coach, okay? We've lost 2 DCs. All right, we're on our 3rd DC with a top 5, if not the best defense in the league. So, Philly, get your shit together. Like, welcome to the big leagues. We're the ones who switch out coaches without a beat. Now, all of a sudden, we're supposed to be paying attention to the headlines just because you guys want Matt Patricia. You can't take a 2-game loss. Like, we are the ones who were like 3-5 with D'Amico. Remember that? We were 3-5 with D'Amico. And everybody was sitting here like, man, we got to get our stuff together. Dr. York was coming down there, walking around there looking like Saddam, staring the fuck out of everybody. And we had to get our shit together, and D'Amico turned it around. I don't want to hear it. Philly, get it together. And if not, just wither away, because we had to do it too. So I don't have any sympathy for them whatsoever. I don't.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't believe this for 1 second.
Well, that's not happening.
That is not going to happen. He is
Never.
bro. He is not.
He would see this comment and like re-upload a bad take.
yeah. He does not care. He does not care. He does not care at all. All right, y'all. Listen, that was a great post-game, Coach. Thank you for joining me in an off week for both of us. We will talk soon. Everybody in the chat, appreciate you. I got a special one this week. We got behind enemy lines as normal, but as you know, anybody that's been following me, you know that my son, my 9-year-old, is a Ravens fan. So we're not going to go live. I don't want to do that. You know, he's 9, but we're going to make a video together. He's super excited about it. And I'm letting you know right now, and maybe this will welcome the trolls. Any offhanded comment about my son, automatic block. It's going to happen. So you want to get blocked from the channel? That's a quick way to make it happen. But he will be on the channel talking Ravens, 49ers this upcoming week. Most likely tomorrow we will record and drop it tomorrow night at some point. Appreciate y'all. Have a blessed night. We'll see you then. Peace.